Hi, I'm now going to take you through the Grazfeed model. Grazfeed was developed by CSIRO back in the 1990s as a supplementary feeding program, and in my view, is still the best supplementary feeding program available in Australia. You can access this model by going onto the CSIRO website. You can download a version. You pay $70 a month plus $70 a year plus GST to get access to it. In years when you're doing a lot of supplementary feeding, the program is worth it. If you look across the top of the program, there are a range of tabs. We just start on the left and work to the right. The thing we're wanting to do is work out how much we should be feeding. But to get to that, we need to tell the program some information about the pasture, about the weather, whether we want to include it, what supplements we're going to feed, some information about the animals. Are they females? Are they pregnant? Are they dry? Once the program knows all that, we can come up with a feeding rate. Start on pasture 1. I'll just click on it. You can see a number of pieces of information: weight of herbage in the pasture, digestibility, percentage of legume, main grasses. It looks at either temperates or tropicals. In Tasmania, you're just going to use temperates, deepness of the land, month, latitude, etc. The higher up the page, the more important the question. So I'm just going to put some numbers in here which are relevant for Tasmania in May 2024. Herbage mass in the pasture might be 0.3, 300 kilograms of dry matter per hectare. So it's in tonnes per hectare, so it goes in 0.3. There might be half a tonne of dead. Digestibility of the green at 70, digestibility of the dead at 45, no legume. They're the critical cells. I'm not going to worry about changing anything down here. If you're doing it on pasture, I'd leave it as steep. You can use this for containment feeding. If you're doing containment feeding, you'll just put zeros in the top 2 cells. And if I was doing containment feeding, I've got 2. That's coming up because I've got 2 point values in there. If I was doing containment feeding, I just have it on level. It's a minor issue. Let's move on. Pasture 2 comes up. The critical thing on this screen is one cell, and it's this one here under pasture height. What's the height of the green material? The program will always put a value in there. You need to reflect what you're seeing in the pasture. So, for instance, in that example, I've put of just 300 kilos in the pasture, we might only have 3 millimetres of height. Again, it's in centimetres, so I'm putting in 0.3, 0.3 centimetres, 3 millimetres. By getting the height right, if you make a mistake on the front screen, you're sort of overriding it. This height's going to control how much the animals can harvest off the pasture. So if you're not quite sure on the first screen, get this one right, and you've really corrected any errors out of the system. You can either include weather or not. It's daily weather. If I open it, mean temperature, maximum, minimum, wind speed, rainfall. The impact here is if it's wet and cold and windy, that's when chill index is really driven up. If we're dealing with sheep and they've got more than 2 centimetres of wool on, I wouldn't include weather. If you're looking at steers in the middle of winter, I would include weather. So in this case, I'm just going to not use it. And the supplement comes up and there's a very long list of available feeds. Now, in this case, I'm just going to go and say, well, I'm using whole barley. You can do a mix. Just as an example, I could say I'm feeding 85% barley and 15% lupins. You can do a three-way mix if you want to. The critical thing, it's got to add up to 100%. So I'm just going to go back to just feeding 100% barley. I'll get rid of that. Again, it comes with energy and protein values. These come from standard food tests over the years. I'm going to say the energy for the barley is a bit high. I'm going to knock that back to 13. Put a price in there, say $500 a tonne. We're now on the breed tab. Be sheep or cattle. I'll go into sheep. I'm just going to pull up, say, medium merino. What you call it is irrelevant. It's this value here is the critical one. So what's this asking for? Well, this breed type, here are the model's estimate of weight of a mature ewe in average conditions. Now, within the merino, medium wool merinos across Australia, there'd be some that'd be 50 kilos, there'd be some that are 65 kilos. What's the weight of your ewe, gut empty, fleece free? It's almost like what's the weight of that ewe when it comes out of the shearing shed? I'm going to run with 55 kilos. Now that animal, if you put it over the scales during the year and it's pregnant, it's got some fetus development in it, it's got wool on it, it's got gut fill, that animal could be easily weighing 55 kilos. If you take all those things out, that's the core weight you're after. I'm not going to worry about the fleece weight. That has a minor impact. Just going back to that screen again, if we're dealing in a situation where we're looking at weight gain in young animals, this is very critical. If I go over an example with deers, if I got deers that have come out of 500 kilo cow, or I've got deers that have come out of 650 kilo cow, deers out of a 650 kilo cow are going to grow quicker than deers out of a 500. That's the sort of impact this figure has. We're now on animals. These are the animals you're actually wanting to do the run for. So I'm going to say I'm doing it for ewes. I'm doing it for mature ewes. Right now, average shorn weight, including conceptus. So I'm going to say they're 55 kilos. I've taken any wool weight off. Average age 36. Least depth, I'm going to leave at 3 centimetres. And in these animals, I'm going to say they're pregnant with one, and they're only 30 days pregnant. So you can see the sort of numbers that you're putting in. And these are figures you know. We're now at the feeding tab. There's two ways to do it. One is to use the top button, calculate for a fixed level of supplement. I always leave the first one empty. So that tells me what's happening if they're just on pasture. Now, these are kilograms and it's the daily rate of feeding we're doing. So I'm going to say we're feeding 300 grams, 400 grams, 500 grams, 600 grams, or 700 grams per day. Again, it's in kilos. That's why I've put the point in. At this stage, all I want to do is look at the brief results. So I'm clicking that cell down there. I hit run. Program's gone away. So this is the weight of supplement. Left the first cell at 0, so that's just pasture. 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 kilos a week, 2.8, 3.5, 4.2, 4.9. It's the daily cost based on the fact I put the grain in at $500 a tonne. This is what the animals are able to harvest out of the pasture. The largest amount is when they're just on pasture by themselves. As we start putting grain into the system, pasture consumption will go down. This is the weight of supplement eaten on a dry matter basis. This is the weight of supplement as fed. We buy a tonne of grain. We don't buy 1,000 kilograms of dry matter. We buy 1,000 kilograms minus the weight of the water in there. We then have 2 columns because they're pregnant females that are in pregnancy. The first column is telling us the weight change you would see over a set of scales. So it's taking account of what's happening in the ewe and what's happening with the fetus and placenta. The maternal gain is just telling us what's happening with the female. So we can see down here, there's 2 grams a day weight gain, but the ewe's losing 5 kilos. So there's 7 kilos difference. As we move further and further through pregnancy, the difference between the maternal and weight gain will change because the placenta is growing, the fetus is growing. But this gives us a picture of what's actually happening to the ewe itself. If it's negative, she's losing weight. If it's positive, she's putting on weight. Now, with this, the program's making no comment about what you should feed. Here's the performance, and you're deciding how you want these animals to perform. So if they're just on that pasture, which was very, very short, very sparse, they're losing 200 grams a day, multiplied by 7, they're losing 1.5 kilos, just under 1.5 kilos a week. We can get that at 600 grams a day, 4.2 kilos a week on pasture. The ewe is losing 35 grams. Now, if your thinking is that I might have to run them on this for another month, are you happy to lose 35 grams times 4? Are you happy to lose 120 grams over that month of the ewe? You're hardly seeing any change. So it's a case of you deciding what animal performance you want balanced against what cost you're prepared to pay. So that's why I always tend to like doing it this way. You can see the relative gains you're getting from a relative increase in cost. The other way you can do it is just hit this button. What's entered the desired weight gain? And let's say for this ewe, I just want her not putting on weight, not losing weight. So I've set it at 0. Program goes away and it works out for 0 weight gain of the ewe. See the 0 here I'm circling? It's saying you've got to feed 620 grams a day of the barley. Change the target. Again, I'm doing it purely as an example. I'm happy to lose 0.02. I'm happy to lose 20 grams a day. There's 20 grams a day loss in the ewe. Feeding amount would be 550 grams per day of the barley. That's the brief comment. If you hit include comments, you get a lot more information displayed. Gives you information about the pasture, it's about the supplement. It also comes down to how this animal has the capacity to eat 1.5 kilos of dry matter a day. At present, it's only going to be consuming about 0.6. It makes some comments about protein, whether that's limiting or not. Animal production figures, nitrogen, a lot of information. And it also comes down with some comment. The production of these animals is not being limited by the concentration of protein in the diet. It is indicated in table 2 by a surplus of 31. So you can read through there, it refers back to the tables, and it's giving you some idea of why the results have come up. So it's providing a bit of education along the way if you're new to this sort of thing. Now, there's a print button up the top. So if I hit, I'll go back to the top one again and just hit run. Except I didn't mean to hit it. Well, I've still got it there. You can hit the print button, get the result, go and make some changes. You might you might be looking at trying to change another type of supplement, comparing a pellet at a different price. Go back in the supplement, put in the pellet, put in the price, run it again, get your output, print it again, and you compare which product is giving you the most cost-effective animal performance that you're after. It's got a very good help file, excellent program. It's been used by many producers over a long period of time. I now have been using this program for 35 years. We've done thousands of runs on it. It's a big benefit to livestock producers if they've got to make supplementary feeding decisions. Called Grazfeed, available from CSIRO. Goodbye.